This is Joe's Corner 76. I will be discussing the human condition in all its phases. In order to change it, we have to be involved. I'm starting off with stating that I don't deny climate change, but I also think all the cards are not on the table. We need solutions for climate change that work now. It seems there is one side preaching absolute doom unless we change our ways and reduce all humanity to poverty. The other side completely denies climate change is doing anything at all to our climate. I think that there is something going on, and it's worth exploring and refuting those things that are not practical. Canada produces 1.6% of the world's emissions. China emits 27% of carbon emissions. India 7%, Russia 4%, and the US 11%. So, unless these countries drastically reduce emission, Canada will do little in the battle to reduce emissions except go bankrupt. We need to look at new facts. The world will be using fossil fuels for years to come. This climate change obsessed government does not want to sell our energy to the resources to the world. They don't care about some real and important conclusions. Natural gas produces half the carbon emissions of coal. We could sell liquefied natural gas to China, to India, and to our European allies who need it desperately and were turned down. We import dirty foreign oil instead of using our own oil that is one of the cleanest produced in the world. Why are we sending billions to dictatorships? Why do we continue to lose $25 billion by selling our energy to the US instead of the world? Why don't we have a secure energy plan? The billions we are losing by not selling our energy program to the world could fund our health and social programs. It could also help reduce our national deficit. We need pipelines now. The government keeps delaying even the pipelines they approve to be built and just escalates their cost. The solution is to build an energy corridor where all energy transportation is located. Only one environmental study is required. This has the support of many, including the indigenous population. Get the oil transportation built now. The energy zealots do not want to do this. Carbon taxes will do nothing to reduce worldwide carbon emissions. In Canada, all it's doing is raising the cost of food, transportation, and energy costs. It's just a cash cow for the government. The whole world has to agree to lower emission standards and to all share the cost. It won't happen otherwise. Developing countries want increased living standards, and this takes energy. The only reliable energy now is fossil fuels, and these countries are going to use them for quite a while. Reliable green energy from wind and solar are not reliable as a steady source of power now. There is a lot more work to be done before we could consider them in a vast country like Canada. Are there any solutions to Canada's emissions overall? We should realize that our auto industry will not be 100% zero emission free by 2035. Europe and the UK are slowing down the transformation to all electric. The auto industry is pulling back from 100% electric production. We don't have the electric grid structure to support and switch to all electric. There are technical and production problems still with electric vehicles, along with their price and questions about recycling the batteries and the reliability of the cars. We also need to produce enough materials to build our own batteries and not allow China to get a stranglehold on electric car production. Before we can get reliable green energy and an electrical distribution system, we should ask our car manufacturers to produce more efficient combustion engines. We have energy solutions right now that are emission-free. Hydropower. At present, 60% of Canada's electricity is produced by hydropower, and it's emission-free. The government needs to get hydroelectric plants approved and going in Quebec, Manitoba, Labrador, and BC. Nuclear power produces about 15% of our electric power. This is emission-free. The green energy fanatics don't support this. Let's look at facts. Canada has the expertise and technical resources to build safe nuclear reactors, which is why the world buys our nuclear technology. Canada has large, high-grade uranium supply. We can speed up the approval process to build a nuclear reactions reactors since we have all of the technical knowledge. The CANDU reactor can be completed in 72 months, so a faster approval would speed up the start of construction. There are smaller modular nuclear reactors. These would take 3 to 5 years to build. They are considerably smaller in size than traditional nuclear reactors with enhanced safety features. A smaller nuclear reactor could produce enough power for 300,000 homes. This could supply smaller electrical grids or remote off-grids. Other marketing advantages, making products like hydrogen and desalinating water. Geothermal power is an overlooked climate solution. It's right below our feet, but geothermal power has largely been underdeveloped in Canada. The climate crisis and wanting to reduce the reliance on fossil fuels is creating an interest in the high temperature that occurs in the earth, and the technology in geothermal field continues to develop. Canada is sitting on a vast geothermal energy resource. Iceland uses it for energy. California gets 6% of its electrical energy from it. Its use wasn't considered before, but now companies are finding ways to make geothermal energy more efficient. A company, E2 Electric Energy, is developing a pilot project in Rainbow, Alberta, which has 1,000 people. This will become the first municipality to be fully powered by thermal energy in 2028. This energy has a major advantage over sun and wind because it doesn't stop when the sun isn't shining or the wind blowing. Geothermal energy production requires only a fraction of the land that wind and solar farms do. One thing working in favor of the geothermal industry is that the skills, engineering, know-how, and drilling techniques are the exact same as those used in the oil and gas industry. A private company called Deepcore is developing Canada's first private geothermal energy, and it could be Canada's first geoenergy plant. Drought is mentioned in the news quite often. There needs to be research done to develop plants that require less water. More resources needed to be provided to fight forest fires and better resource management. Flood is also occurring. The government needs to stop building on flood plains. Lastly, encourage the private sector to unleash their innovative skills to fight climate change and make a profit as well. The government can't resolve climate change alone, especially without the cooperation of the public and the private sector. Do you agree? Or are you a part of the climate fanatic tribe or just uninvolved? We all will be affected. You can follow me on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Joe's Corner 76. You can hear me on Spotify and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76. If you enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends. There are many more you can hear on Spotify and Joe's Corner 76.